What's going on, everybody? Kenny Bomb is in the building, and the beta for UFC 5 is officially behind us. Now, you're going to hear a lot of different people say a lot of different things, but take it from somebody who's level-headed. The game looks and feels a lot better than UFC 4 did. But what about the creative fighter? This is one thing I always look forward to most when I play these games, because this is where I'm going to build that fighter I'll spend the most time with. So is it better than it was in UFC 4? Is it worse than it was in UFC 4? Or is it pretty much the same? We got to talk about it. But first, if you want more UFC 5 updates on this channel, let me know by dropping a like on this video, and don't forget to smash that subscribe button if you haven't already. Now let's get into it.
Run, boy, they coming on.
In UFC 5, you have 5 different categories when it comes to creating your fighter. You have fighter type, general info, appearance, clothing, and style. We're going to go through each one of these categories, starting with fighter type. Now, this section gets pretty deep because you have 5 styles to choose from. You have boxer, you have kickboxer, you have wrestler, you have MMA, and you have jiu-jitsu. But each one of these styles has subcategories that gives your fighters different advantages. The first category under kickboxer is sniper. This is an outside fighter with a focus on speed and counter. So if you're somebody who can read those punches really well, with that speed, you could sway out of the way, and that counter punch, hit him with that uppercut, that's an easy knockout. This might be the one for you. Or maybe you came to put on a show. The second category is acrobat. This will give you an exciting moveset, but with those high risk can come dire consequences. So if you want to do spinning back fists, if you want to run up the cage and do ninja kicks, you can definitely get that with this style, but just be ready to face the consequences if you make a bad decision. The final category under kickboxer is called razor. Now, this is a clinch fighter with great leg kicks and knees. So if you want to go back to the UFC Undisputed days where you got somebody in the clinch and you just threw those knees until they got knocked out, this might be the fighting style for you. So that's it for the kickboxers. The next style we'll be looking at is the boxer. And the first category we have under boxer is powerhouse. Now, these are inside fighters who like to focus on power punches and getting those knockouts. Now, that sounds easy, sounds like a good choice to go with, but if a powerhouse runs into those snipers we were talking about earlier, you throw that power punch and he slips it, you can call your mom and tell her to cancel Christmas, because it's over. Now, if you're good at making calculated decisions while you're throwing these punches, this is going to be a very powerful decision. But again, if you're just going in there throwing punches crazy and you get slipped, you're going to get hit and you're going to go down. The next category we have under boxer is pressure. This is a fighter who likes to move forward while they're blocking. So if you want to put that pressure on your opponent and you're good at getting those blocks off, just be careful, because some people will go ahead and eat up your stomach to trick you to block low, and when you bring those fists back up, they're going to eat at your stomach again. So if you got a good defense game, this one may work for you, but it's not for me. The last one we have for boxer is showboater. Now, this is a dangerous fighter who likes to use hooks and they like to use uppercuts. This is probably the one I would go with when it comes to boxer, because honestly, y'all, I just be getting in there going crazy. I'm trying to see what you do, and when I get that opening, I'm throwing the hook, I'm throwing the uppercut, or if you tear me up off the hand, I'm gonna get you in the mouth. But if you like to stand and bang, I think showboater is gonna be a good option, especially with the doctor stoppages returning. Next style we have is MMA. The first category under that style is top dog. This is just a well-rounded fighter. You're good at punches, you're good at kicks, you're good at ground games, you're good at submissions, but you're not really great at anything. I noticed this one does have high health, so if you want to be an overall well-balanced fighter, this is going to be a good option for you. So the next category we have is engine. And if you get in here and you really don't know what you're doing, but you're just throwing those punches trying to get a flash knockout, I think this is going to be a good one for you, because this one gives you high stamina and volume with a focus on straights and hooks. So if you're in there with the powerhouse and he's rocking you all over the cage, just survive. You got the high stamina. All you got to do is let him gas out, and then you overwhelm him with that high volume of straights and hooks. So the next category under MMA is versatile. This is a fighter with a well-balanced base, which allows him to mix up kicks and do different submissions. I'm not really a submission guy, so this one won't be for me. Now, while the other styles only had 3 categories, MMA has 4. The last one is virtuoso. This is also a well-balanced fighter, but this allows for the mix of boxing and grappling. I think this one sounds really good. My favorite things are wrestling and boxing, so I think this might be a good one for me as well. So the next style we have is wrestling, which only has 2 subcategories. The first one being Dominator. Shout out to Farouk. This style has good wrestling, submissions, and stamina with a decent bottom game. That sounds kind of crazy, but let's keep it moving. The next category we have under wrestler is Smasher. This is a wrestler with a great focus on power and ground and pound. That one sounds really good as well. The last style we have to choose from is Jiu-Jitsu, and this one only has 2 subcategories as well. The first one being Shark. This is a fighter who's looking to finish the fight as soon as he takes it to the ground. Now, is that with submission, or is that when you're standing over him getting those punches off? That's going to be a good thing to test out. In a lot of the previous UFC games, the easiest way to finish your opponent was to take them to the ground, get in that mount position, and throw off those punches. So if this Shark style has an advantage there, then it's going to be a problem. In the last category we have under Jiu-Jitsu is Vanguard. This style has very unorthodox BJJ, and they can throw very good kicks. But these days, I'm more of a punch guy, and if I want to throw kicks, I'm going to go with kickboxing. So that's it for the styles we have in UFC 5, but there are other things that go along with these styles because each style has 5 perks. Now, we're not going to go through all of the perks today, but I'm going to go through the perks on one of the styles, and that will give you an idea of what we're looking at. So based on every style we just went over, I think the one I'm going to end up choosing is Powerhouse. So let's go ahead and look at the perks we have for Powerhouse. The first one is Force of Nature. Incoming damage is less effective when you have more health than your opponent. So if you're beating your opponent and he's trying to make a comeback and he's hitting you with some good strikes, it's not going to do as much damage as it would if you were actually losing the fight. I don't know if that's fair, but hey, let's do it. So the next perk is Fast Hands. Hooks, uppercuts, and overhands are faster and more accurate. That one pretty much speaks for itself. Bulldog blocks more effective when standing still or moving forward. Pay to Miss sways while standing still or moving forward, evade more effectively, and to your feet, able to get up from the ground more easily. Now that's actually a pretty good one. Now some of these perks could prove to be OP, but we'll see how it works once we get there. That's enough for the fighter styles. Let's talk about how it actually feels to create this fighter. So the next option you have is general information, and this is pretty much exactly what you think it is. You choose your name, you choose your height, you choose your weight. Now in the beta, you could only choose middleweight. I'm sure in the full game, they will open that up for you to choose anything. Also important to note, you can create a woman in this game, but in the beta, they only gave you the option to create a man. So I don't know if y'all were wondering about that, but it is there. Now, in the next section, you actually get to the good stuff. This is your appearance. This is where you choose what your fighter looks like, and unshockingly, it works just like it did in UFC 4. But I will say this, they do have some great options for the hair, but I don't know if the quality is great. I don't know what it is, but game companies are still struggling to make hair look good in these games. While the hairstyles in the game are good, the quality of the hair is not. Same with the tattoos. The tattoos you can put on your fighter are the same tattoos that were in UFC 1, UFC 2, UFC 3, UFC 4. I think these tattoos are actually also in WWE 2K. So the tattoos need work. Now, as far as the game face, it wasn't available in the beta as far as I could see. There wasn't even an option in there that was grayed out. So I'm hoping that wasn't removed because it did work great. I don't see why they would remove it unless it was causing issues with the new engine. So we'll see how that goes. After you finish with your facial structure, skin color, making your fighter beautiful or however you want them to look, then you choose your clothes. Now, there's not a lot of clothes they give you to choose from in this beta, but these clothes are pretty much only worn in cutscenes, so take that how you want. I don't know if they're going to have a lot, or I don't know if they're not going to have a lot. We'll see. Probably just a lot of sponsored stuff. And then after that, there's one thing I really love about these UFC games, and it's the fact that they give these fighters their own style. Like, you have Sean O'Malley in there actually standing up, doing those actions or whatever he does, the ball thing. And then you could choose one of those styles for your fighter. So you can have your fighter stand like the fighters in the game. Hopefully they have unique fighting stances and stuff for them as well. But from what I could see, I could only really see UFC fighters in there. So we'll see how that shakes out also. But when it comes to the overall quality of the fighter and how he looks when you actually finish him, unfortunately, they still look like NPCs. Now, they're created fighters. You would think they will never look like the fighters on the actual roster, but somehow 2K nailed it with WWE 2K23, because when it comes to quality, the created wrestlers in WWE 2K23 look just as good as the wrestlers on the main roster. So you got to give 2K their flowers where they deserve it. Hopefully EA puts the focus on creative fighter in the next game, and we'll see how things turn out. But thank y'all for tuning into this video. Out of all the styles we went over, let me know which one sounds best for you. Don't forget to drop a like on it and smash that subscribe button if you haven't already. Bomb Squad, let's get to that.